Our last speaker in this session is one of India's foremost crusaders for internet freedom. She's very young, she doesn't sound like it, but she is. The person who went to the Supreme Court challenging the draconian Section 66A. Have you all heard of 66A? You have? How many have heard of Section 66A and what the fuss about internet freedom is all about? Well, she played a very important role in ensuring they were struck down and ensured that on the internet you can say what you want in the fashion in which you want. Can we have a round of applause as I welcome to stage Shreya Singhal, please? When I think of someone who's an internet crusader or fighting for rights, you usually think of someone much older, not someone who's just out of college. So how did the idea of going to the Supreme Court, most people usually want to just stay away from courts. Yeah. So how did the idea of going to Supreme Court and challenging Section 66A come from?
Actually, I'm still in college. And I think it was just like something really shocking that had happened, and that's what made me go. But it was a lot of support from my friends and my family that actually helped me through it, and how I went, and they were there every step of the way. So
is this the first time you'd ever gone to the Supreme Court? Because you come from a family of lawyers, right? So had you been going to the Supreme Court while you were growing up, or when you took your petition to the court, that's the first time you went to the Supreme Court?
I've been to the Supreme Court twice before, when I was like a baby or something. And I remember my mother told me I have courtesied in front of the judge, so but no, it was quite an experience, because you go there as a client and you're sitting there every day, during the hearings and stuff, and it's something completely it's so strange. It's like there's like a lot of adrenaline, because you're like, what is the judge going to say? What you're trying to read facial expressions, and so it was like an insanely new experience, which I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else. Even as a lawyer, I doubt I'm ever going to have the same experience, because I'm going to be there arguing, but I was here, watching, trying to figure out what was happening, because I was pretty clueless about the things happening half of the time.
And what was the experience like for you to have finally ensured that this draconian act was struck down, at least by the courts? Now, what the government does with it is a different thing, but at least you managed to get the act written down.
Yeah.
So how was that experience for you? Made you an instant celebrity amongst your friends?
A little bit. It was a bit odd, but it was. I think it needed to happen, and if it wasn't me, I'm sure it would have been someone else. And when we first filed the petition, the Justice Altamas Kabir, who was the Chief Justice then, actually said we wanted to take suo motu action. Why did it take someone so long? So I think that I was lucky enough to be the first person to file it.
Okay, so what's next? What's the next? Do you have another issue on the horizon that you're looking at carefully to go to the courts with?
No, I just want to pass. I'm in my final year. I just want to pass.
And what happens after that? How do you ensure that? Because now we're seeing the government make a lot of noises about how they need to bring some elements of Section 66A back, whether it's in the form of the old act or in the form of an amended act, but they're saying there has to be some regulation of internet activity.
There is regulation, because you have the existing sections of the IPC, the Indian Penal Code, which do apply to the internet. You don't need another section that will what it ends up doing is gagging the internet. You can't have an all-out ban. And I think that in today's world, where the government wants to control what we eat, what we say, what we do in the privacy of our own homes, on our computers and stuff, I think now it's the most important time to protect whatever freedoms we have. And that's
but some would argue, take for example what happened in Bengaluru, when there was an exodus of people from the northeast, because there was a rumor that people from the northeast were being targeted, and that rumor went so viral on WhatsApp, on social media, that people just started leaving in the droves. Now, surely governments need to have some way to be able to control that.
They do. There are existing sections. You have, under the Constitution, free speech, there are reasonable restrictions. There are 8 heads under which you can reasonably restrict speech, like defamation, criminal contempt of court, national security, friendly relations with foreign states. There are those things, so they are there.
A lot of them are not specific to the internet, not specific to the problems of law and order that the internet creates.
But then maybe they should look at that, because the internet doesn't need an all-out, you don't need a blanket provision on the internet. You just need better implementation of your existing laws. We have so many laws, you just need to implement them better. You know, work around them. There's Section 65B of the Indian Evidence Act, which actually says that all of your existing laws will apply to the internet. So you just need to implement them better, and that, I think, is the government's job. And if they're failing at that, they need to pull up their socks.
So for a moment, if you want a petitioner challenging the government, what would your suggestion to the government be? As a young user of the internet, as someone who's concerned about attempts to try and clamp down on internet freedom, what should be done by the government so as to be able to prevent law and order problems from arising and yet not seem like the internet police?
They need to firstly coming out with sections like 66A. I mean, don't criminalize the content you put up on the internet, and you need to maybe target if there is a crime. I mean, it is a new medium that has been invented. So yeah, there will be new crimes that have been invented in association with the internet. So you do need to target them specifically. If you see that there is a problem, target it specifically. You can't have a blanket provision or, you know, that gags the internet.
Okay, we're going to leave it over there. Thank you very much, Shreya, for joining us. And I hope, you know, right now you're here as an internet freedom champion. I hope you also pass the exams that you're working for really hard, and I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Shreya. Would request once again Mr. C. Parameswaran, Director, Corporate and Industry Relations, to come up on stage and present a small token of our appreciation to Shreya.